The Beatles from 1967. All you need is love. And maybe that's all you need when you think of self-care and wellness. We've been talking about that this morning, and I do thank you for your texts and letting me know how you take care of yourself and without breaking the bank. But I wonder what you think of when you think of wellness. For me, when I think of what's marketed to me, it's all about skincare and anti-aging and doing my nails and doing this and that to my hair and whatnot. But those things don't actually make me feel good. It might make some people feel good, but for a lot of the time, those expectations of an hour-long skincare routine and painting my nails and just all of those things. And it just feels like more things that are on my to-do list. But the concept of self-care and wellness has become part of a really booming industry. Psychology expert Dr. Jo Lukens, good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
Self-care and wellness isn't necessarily supposed to cost money, right?
Absolutely. That's the good news. Now, more power to you if you do enjoy some of those things that you talked about. And as you said, for some of us, some of those things can feel like a chore. But even for those that find joy in those activities, what you've probably noticed is the shelf life of happiness, if we can put it that way, how much lasting effect it gives you isn't actually that long. So one of the challenges with that is that if those are the ways that you find pleasure and happiness, then I hope you've got a very healthy bank account as well to go with it. So the great news is that many of the things that lead to us having satisfaction and happiness don't cost us very much or anything at all.
Yeah. And this whole idea of self-care and wellness as a concept really started from a psychological base, by psychologists saying you need to look after yourself before you look after other people.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's where the message got a little bit confused. The nice thing is we can do all of these things. So if you do like to have a bubble bath or sit with a candle and those sorts of things, then those are definitely things that I would include those in your life if they bring you joy. But we do know that there's a little bit more science that sits behind some of the things that genuinely bring about that satisfaction and happiness for us. And I think that's why it's great that we're actually talking about those elements today.
So what factors then contribute to the widespread popularity of that wellness culture, in inverted commas? Does it have appeal to specific groups?
It does. It certainly is targeted to everyone, but there's a particular focus, and that is one of the things that we do find is that, and young people. So because of its promises of happiness and meaning and stress relief, it tells us it's going to give us all of these things, but it doesn't necessarily. But what we've seen is, as you said, the beauty industry, clean eating, all those sort of energy boosting avenues, it's valued at something like $4.4 trillion US or something, like a number I can't even imagine. So there's a lot of money that sits behind it too. So obviously there's a lot to be gained by a lot of companies in saying, hey, this will bring you happiness. This is the secret formula.
Yes, you must be beautiful to be happy. So how does the PERMA model proposed by Martin Seligman differ from that wellness culture concept?
It's quite different. So this is the evidence model that some people will be familiar with. So Martin Seligman's work, even if you haven't heard of him, for a while he was president of the American Psychological Association. And when you have that role, you have some funding to put money into research of particular interest to you, which is where the PERMA model comes from. Mm-hmm. So anyone who has students who are involved with schools that have a positive education program, there's a very good chance it sits behind the research of Martin Seligman and his team. So he came up with a little acronym which is called PERMA, P-E-R-M-A, and it talks about what do we know, what does the evidence tell us actually brings about happiness for us. So the P is about positive emotions, the E is about engagement, so in connecting with other people. R, following on from that, is about the relationships that we have with others. Then it's also that sense of meaning, why am I here, purpose, and then achievement as well. So what am I doing well? So when you look at those 5 elements, each of those have a really strong contribution for us in terms of long-term well-being.
That kind of goes to the point that was made. He said his self-care and wellness is his job because he has the sense of achievement, working with others, builds self-esteem, all of those sorts of things. So can you explain how those sort of positive emotions contribute to overall well-being according to that broaden and build theory?
Yeah, so when Seligman talks about broaden and build, and what he talks about is that when we engage in activities that bring about positive emotions for us, so that happiness, satisfaction, satisfaction. One of the other things that I love reading the research on is savouring, when we stop and savour a moment.
Yes.
There's a lot of psychological wellbeing that sits with us for quite an extended period after that. So the idea is when we engage in activities that result in those emotions, or when having those emotions causes us to go, it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. They both come together, I think. What it does is it makes us mentally more flexible, mentally more creative, and mentally more resilient. So it broadens our base, if you like, and strengthens us and builds it and makes it stronger. So to Waz's point about work provides that for me. It wouldn't be wonderful if everyone could say that. That if you think about those elements of PERMA, and certainly a lot of workplaces are looking at ways, how can we, if we know this brings about happiness for people, why wouldn't we want to build this into our workplaces? We're building it into the schools, so workplaces is the logical next place to work in this area.
Just very quickly, Dr. Jo, what do you do for your sort of self-care and wellness?
I get up early in the morning and I exercise, and then I have coffee with my friends. So I feel like I'm ticking about 4 of those boxes. They're all at once. So getting outside, physical activity, connecting with others.
Achievement.
And a little shot of caffeine.
That's the 6th pillar.
Caffeine. That could be it, that and chocolate.
Dr. Jo, thank you very much for that. And it has been interesting to speak with you this morning about the ways that you approach self-care and wellness. And a couple of the texts that I really did love this morning were from Maya from Kowara Beach about the puzzle and doing activities that make her feel a little bit better and also connect her with her family. And also Marion from Bayview Heights. Thank you very much for your lovely message. It's really about setting boundaries and making that yourself a priority in your day sometimes. So thank you very much for those. And Maya and Marion, you both get a prize, and we'll work to get those prizes to you. It is coming up to news time now. It's 11 o'clock.